If you're back and you're watching this video, you're definitely a glutton for punishment, especially looking at my mug. Uh, I thought about taking advantage of this time to briefly help you guys understand what I've been going through lately and what the media is not covering regarding this illegal immigration issue. At least this is my perspective. The illegal immigration thing is not about jobs. It's not about them coming here to be able to receive American jobs. As much as it is to abolish the southern border and to create a single political party. Most people don't realize that when you have a single party, you have a dictatorship that can never be undermined, and it's very dangerous. The 34 million or whatever it is illegal immigrants coming across the border obviously exceeds executive branch authority. We already know that. But the thing that I wanted to tell you about was that it is about abolishing the southern border. And you might say, well, why is that? Many of you already know, probably know more than I do, and can help fill in with comments. But there are trade mergers that have been going on for some time. They're promoted by our president and promoted by leading Republicans. As a matter of fact, the ones I'm going to be talking about are actually promoted by or in support of our congressmen, our governors, big businesses, and a lot of small businesses. And the weird thing about it is that these treaties were never, the executive branch never had the power to regulate commerce. That was Congress. Until about the 30s, they started making these changes. And in the 70s, they came up with this legislation authorizing fast-track negotiation. Basically, what it did was it allowed the Congress to be able to give the executive branch dictatorial powers in creating these treaties and working behind closed doors. The first treaty, obviously, being the in 1980s with the Canada-U.S. Free Trade Agreement that was negotiated actually and approved by Congress. In the 90s, they had the North American Free Trade Agreement under Clinton. Basically, what it is it's a rules-based trade bloc. What happened with the European Union, as many of you remember, they were all sovereign, independent countries. And at some point in time, they became the European Union. And most people really don't realize that it began with commerce, in integration through commerce, and then obviously eventually through the political realm, creating a single currency, creating the European Union Court, the European Union Bank, and the rest of these things, a national police force, which is extremely dangerous. So basically, what happened is these sovereign states were actually sold a bill of goods saying that they could actually vote on this European Constitution, European Union Constitution. I think it was France and the Netherlands when they actually denied signing the Constitution. They actually prohibited any other state from voting. So every member state actually lost its independence, and lost its right to vote. These are extremely dangerous. Basically, I need to try to make this as short as I can and not be complicated about it. But it began through the European Coal and Steel Community in 1952, followed by the European Economic Community in 1957, the Maastricht Treaty in 1992, which established the European Union, and the Treaty at Lisbon in 2007, which established the EU Constitution. You might say, what does this mean to me? Basically, these things are being sold deceptively to our governments to make it sound like we need more open trade, more kumbaya, and the rest of it. But Bernard Connolly has clearly stated, among with others, he was a high official for the European Union, said that it's become clear to them that what they thought was a common market is nothing more than a project to create a European federal superstate, in which our sovereignty, Britain's national identity, would be extinguished. What does this have to do with immigration? Well, what it has to do with immigration is the simple fact that in order to be, if a nation is defined by its borders, the only way that you can tear down a nation and to be able to create a bloc of nations, or a Soviet bloc, according to I can't remember the Russian dude's name. It wasn't Putin, but anyway, he said that it was a European Soviet. So Basically, the immigration deal is to abolish the southern borders to create the North American bloc of nations. And then, of course, the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, the TPP or the TTIP, actually go a little bit further in creating, linking the United States with 11 Pacific Rim nations that will create a supranational government that will govern over them. And the more dangerous one, I think, is the TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, which really, in a nutshell, takes 237 years of American independence, of blood, sweat, and sacrifice that we've had from our founding fathers in order to remain free, and it takes us and it links us right back up with not only the very entity that we left with Britain, but now all 28 member states as an entire European Union. The question here becomes, what happens with our sovereignty, and who will be the governing entity? Will it be China? China, hey, whoever has the money makes the rules. If China's got all the money, won't they be governing over us? You certainly can't believe that we're going to be able to govern ourselves equally, or there's no point in actually integrating ourselves. So that's really what the big deal is. I'm doing presentations across the state. If you know of anybody that would be interested in doing them, they're about 35 minutes. But this is really what you need to know. Through these mergers, your rights don't come from God anymore. They come from government, kind of like they are now. And your rights become nothing more than granted privileges. Complete loss of sovereignty. Your national independence is gone. Your loss of constitutional limited government, your loss of Bill of Rights, your state constitutions, your separations of powers, your checks and balances. It means that every protection that you have will be abolished, subject to a distant, unaccountable, unapproachable, unknown few, where every aspect of your life will be controlled without redress. So we have more oppressive laws, more regulations, increased surveillance, loss of privacy, loss of property, destruction of family, increased taxation, lower wages, fewer jobs, higher costs on goods and services, more government subsidies, greater indebtedness, and a complete abolition of our independence. These are some of the excerpts of the presentation I did. So basically what it comes down to is we need to look a lot farther and a lot deeper into these issues regarding immigration. This is not about them coming to take our jobs, because the taxpayers have subsidized large corporations to send our jobs overseas. We're a nation that is growing in debt. We're growing in animosity. The chaos is growing. Law enforcement's fearful. People want to fight back because they know our country's in trouble. And we're being busted for petty violations. So there's a much bigger agenda going on here. It's very, very important that you communicate the devastation of these trade mergers. These trade mergers are much more than just commerce. This is a economic and political integration to the absolute insolvency or complete destruction and erosion of our national independence. If our job as parents were to be able to protect the rights and freedoms for our future generation, we're absolutely doing a poor job, and we're actually selling them into slavery. So that's all I got right now. I'm under 9 minutes. Jeez, I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, thanks a lot. Bye.